Okay. So, hello everyone, and welcome to season of AI. And today we are excited to have Ashish sir with us, who will be delivering a powerful session on MCP. So, if you are looking to stay ahead in this world, this is a session you won't wanna miss. So, without any further delay, I would like to invite Ashish sir to take us on this exciting journey of MCP.
Thank you, ADC, for this opportunity. Thanks for following up. Actually, we had supposed to have this session last week, but I was not able to make it due to some other things. So, good afternoon, folks. Thanks for your time for joining, or if you're listening it to some time later. So, first of all, to introduce myself, I'm Thambi Aashish, and I serve as the president for Association for Computing Machinery at KL University, Hyderabad, Bachpally campus. So it is always great to give something talk on MCP, or these kind of sessions that Assure community brings. I had a great time with all of them. So without a further ado, I would now touch up on the model context protocol, because there are a lot of videos on MCP, how to make a demo on MCP. So today I have decided not to waste much of your time on talking more about MCP, doing the same demos. I will talk about the MCP, and I'll just give you a brush about what we do at the MCP, and then we will touch the Microsoft MCP. So everyone, okay, so that's what the agenda is. What is MCP? How does it going to work? How do we use it? So in-depth overview of MCP futures, and then we're going to talk a real-world scenario about the Microsoft Learn MCP server, not the MCP. So there are a couple of links that Microsoft gives you. So whichever the language you're comfortable in, there may be C Sharp, Java, Python, CPP, so JavaScript. So whatever you want to do, you can use those links which are available for you, and you can dive into. So that's the agenda for today. I have made some snapshots for make it session today more interesting, rather than giving you some lecture all over that. So first of all, MCP. Don't worry if you have never heard about it or before. By this end of the session, you will clearly understand why MCP exists and why companies like Microsoft are using it. So the session is not about coding; it is about how AI connects to real systems. So let me ask you a very simple question. Whenever you use GPT or any AI, does it know your college database, or does it know your GitHub repo, or does it know for companies' internal tools? No, right? So exactly, AI models are smart. They are blind, and they are not trained on old internet data, so they do not know what is live systems. They don't know our private data, and they do not know what tools they are allowed to use. So basically, MCP, this will solve the gap between AI and real world systems. So that is the MCP. And I also wanted to talk on uh, one other thing. To make it very more simple, MCP is an open protocol that will standardizes how applications it provide context to LLMs. So it is like a USB-C for AI. So to give you a small example about MCP, to make it general for real audience or more audience. So I wanted to tell my AI, that I want to schedule a meeting with my team next week, and I will tell it to prepare the agenda and notify everyone. So the things here is, without MCP, the AI will not understand my state. The AI will understand my statement, but it cannot access my calendar. It cannot create a document, or it cannot message my team. So it just replies, says that here's how you can do it. But now the MCP comes into the picture. Whereas the MCP, with the same AI, can it can check my Google Calendar for availability. It can create an agenda in Notion. It can send messages on Slack to my team, and it can confirm everything, saying that your meeting is scheduled, agenda is ready, and the team has been notified. So end of the day, the MCP is allowing my AI to connect, act, and complete tasks across multiple tools instead of just talking them. So it's simply like from giving instructions to actually getting the work done. So that's what MCP is. And also, let me talk about the one of the diagram here about the MCP, how it is going to do. So you have just a 1 second. I will talk about the diagram. So on the left side, we have the AI applications, bidirectional data flows, and data sources and tools. So basically, how does MCP standardize protocols? These are the IDEs, other AI applications, data files and systems, development and tools, and productivity, and all of these things. So yeah, I'll also talk about what can MCP enable. I'm sorry, just a second. I am unable to see it on my StreamYard screen. Just one second. Maybe I need some ADC help. Hi, is someone there? ADC Sudhanshu from the team?
Hi, yes, sir.
Sudhanshu, can you just see my screen because I'm not able to see the screen?
No, sir. I can only see the slides.
You can see the slides, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I could not able to see the slides. Can you let me know which slide I am on to?
It's six slides. What can MCP enable?
Okay, got it. Oh, this is struck. Okay, my bad. Sorry. So,
Okay.
sorry. So, I just earlier was talking about, the MCP standard protocol. So, this is the diagram that I wanted to talk about. I'll make it very simple. So, let's look on the center side. We have the MCP. So, you all know that it's called the Model Context Protocol. So, it acts like a bridge or connector, as earlier we have discussed. On the left side, you have the AI applications. So as I already told you earlier, and on the right side we have data sources and tools, where we have real systems and tools, like where we progress on to PostgreSQL, SQL. So basically, these are the systems that actually store our data, manage our code, track errors, and helps team communicate. And as well as on the bidirectional data flow, you'll notice the arrows going both ways. So like data flow is bidirectional. AI can read the data from tools. Also, they can write or update the data back into those tools. So to very simple tell you that it's an assistant. It can read the data from the database, or it can analyze. It can send updates to Slack or commit code and all of that. So that is what it is. And next, what can MCP enable? So why it what it enables? So because as earlier told, this it will standardize the access. It enables capacities that were previously complex or impossible. So I want to tell you that it will break down into three simple points. Maybe it will personalize our AI assistants. So AI agents can securely access our tools like Google Calendar, it might be Notion, it might be some other thing. Basically, it will allow them to understand context and act accordingly. So it will become personal, proactive, and context aware. Maybe simply like that. So and it also may be doing something like a design, code, and application. So like with tools like Claude, we can directly transform the Figma design, right? So whenever you're working on to the web application, it can do it. We will have faster results, and it will have less handcuffs, and maybe shorter time to the market. And the most important thing, that we will have this thing called the enterprise wide data access, where we convert it to multiple databases across an organization. And we will enable employees to analyze the data, maybe through my in the natural conversations. Like there will be no dashboards, like no queries, just an answers. And we also know about AI models can create a 3D design. So yeah, this means that AI is behind the software. Even the MCP can also enables AI systems to interact with maybe physical tools. Maybe you're creating a 3D designs in Blender, right? We send them to a 3D printer. So these are all the things that we're going to do. So end of the day, it is not about making AI smarter. It is about making AI useful. We want to make it useful, maybe connected and actionable. So that is a foundation. It turns AI from a chatbot into a real system. At the end of the day, it connects tools, data, scalable, secure. So whatever you can say, end of the day, it's an action oriented AI system, is what all I can say. And next, we also understand why does MCP matters. we want to know because why it matters, because it will solve one of the problems, any of the problems. Let's say maybe one of the core problem about how AI is securely and consistent connecting to real tools and data. Let's say for we as a developer, so MCP will remove integration chaos. So integration, a lot of confusion. So instead of building custom connectors for every database, okay, there might be API or tool, or maybe developers, or maybe you think of one, we will use one standardized protocol, which will give me as a developer a faster development, think of less complexity, and we will rely morely on AI systems. So it will make sure that as a developers we build one and scale of applications and everywhere. So for that is for the context of developers. Now let's see for AI applications or agents. So for AI agents, what does MCP do? It will entirely unlock ecosystem of tools and data sources. So that things it will do, and not only that, it will make sure that these agents are no longer limited to a text generation. So they might can do maybe retrieve, trigger. Then they can coordinate the workflows. So this will result all of them maybe a smart behavior, might be some product capabilities, or a task, or uses, and it enhances. End of the day, it enhances the real world usefulness. So for and next we can talk about end users. End users is something more important, right? So MCP will also same, it will enable AI systems that can do actually good things on their behalf, not only giving suggestions. Maybe it can do more work faster, manual work is very less. It will give some faster decisions, and maybe it will have a great experience, maybe a better experience. So from an assistant, it will become an operator. So AI will move like that way. So that is a thing where why does MCP matter. So these are the ecosystems we have talked about, why it is useful for developers, it is for agents or end users. So very simple. Again, to add on, it is created by Anthropic, adapted by the AI community, and together we are evolving together. So there are parts of MCPs that you can see here. So I will not be able to touch more about it. You can do it host. It has clients and servers. These are all real examples. And to build an MCP, as I earlier told you, you can use any of these links that will dive you through, and you can do it. Earlier sessions, a lot of amazing speakers spoke about the demos of MCPs, and you can refer to all of that. And today I will not be touching the demo about the MCP, but we will be diving into one of the amazing thing that is called Microsoft Learn MCP Server. So I think I will break down what MCP, as you already told what MCP is, and but I also wanted to break down what MCP versus MCP Microsoft thing is. So I think I'll tell you, MCP is something, the rule book. Let's assume not in a technical term, but let's take it in the general language. MCP is something, a rule book. So but whereas the Microsoft Learn MCP is one of the product, okay, we are building it from the rule book. So that is a thing what we are trying to do. Now let's go into the deep divings of the MCP. So today, as I already said, that we will be focusing on the MCP server, that is a Microsoft Learn server. As I told you that MCP is a rule book, but we are building a product here. So as it is, like this is a real something, a production MCP server which is built and maintained by Microsoft. So what does it is goal, what is the goal of an MCP server? MCP goal is to whenever a AI agent answers maybe your Microsoft related questions, it should rely on official Microsoft Learn documentation. It should not guess something. For example, if I'm instead of Copilot guessing an Azure command, it first checks Microsoft and then respond. So this is the concept of Microsoft Learn MCP service. I hope you have got what does Microsoft Learn MCP server and what is MCP. So now let's talk about the AI agent. So you can see the diagrammic representation, and it says how it does. So I wanted to break down again into very simple terms. AI agents are nowadays, are more than chatbots. These are the programs. Okay, they are powered by language models. There are three things. Model that can there can be a reason that can decide, and it can take actions across multiple steps. A good example that we can see here is a GitHub Copilot in agent mode. So when you ask it to deploy an application, what does it do? Right? It doesn't just reply with text. It create files for us. It will run steps, and it also explains the decisions it is going to make. So that is what it does. And also before diving to that, I wanted to add on a couple of statements, may on the diagrammic representation. So I want to clear some, maybe clarify some of the key terms of the AI agent. So always remember that AI agent, maybe it's an artificial intelligence driven assistance. Maybe I can tell that it is a large language model that can respond to the NL prompts, maybe the natural language prompts. So whatever the GitHub Copilots, maybe it might be a chart or an agent, is a very good example. And again, it will read your questions, your comments, your commands, then perform tasks, and it does all of these things. So this is a process of AI agent working with an MCP server. Maybe to still break it down. First thing is like it MCP client. It will connect with an MCP server. So the user will post a message. Then what it does do after user post a message, the LLM will extract that question, whatever the user has given. Then the agent will send question to MCP server. Then the MCP server will respond with the data it has. Then the LLMs use the data and then shape the results into an answer. And then the agent responds to the user. So this is how it works. I hope I am clear. That's what we have given in the diagrammic input, agent, and output, and tools calls to the MCP server. Then we have the MCP server. Uh, I want to break it down. We have MCP clients and MCP server. Also, maybe once I wanted to go back to the back slide, and I also wanted to tell you that there are we have a limitation of AI agents. So we all know that AI agents are trained on a large data sets, but that time, whenever the training stops at a period of time, they do not automatically know the latest updates and documentations or best practices. For example, let's take Microsoft Azure. Whenever it is releases a new deployment pattern in this month, the model may not it known yet to be, but the Microsoft Learn does. So this is why we all know it's live. External context becomes more critical. So I just wanted to add up, the limitations of AI, the agents whenever the training stops. So we have the MCP clients and MCP servers. So again, to tell you guys about MCP, we all know that it stands for Model Context Protocol. It is an open standard interface. It will connect agents, and it does tools and data, all of that. But mainly, we have to understand that an MCP server exposes a set of tools or resources that a AI agent can call. The AI agent does not have a new knowledge, or it does not have particular information. So what does it do? It will use the MCP server to get that information, and it will take action. So this is like something like agent plugins or extensions that we are doing in a particular way, or standardized way. So AI agents plus the MCP servers, is a combination that it's a way for AI to go behind, to build in its training, to get data up to date or knowledge, maybe performing tasks, maybe through a consistent protocol. It does. And not only that, in MCP responsibilities are clearly separated, right? So AI tools, it has a copilot which acts as MCP clients, while MCP servers, it exposes tools, it exposes documentation, it exposes data. So in practice, what does copilot do? In this, the client that asks questions, and the MCP, what does it do? It fetches the correct answer from the learn. So that is what the MCP client and MCP server. Why MCP server matters. So very most important thing why MCP server matters. So I will not take much why MCP matters and all of that, but I will break it down into very simple. So let's say that MCP server matters because it will provide us a reliable grounding information for AI responses. Instead of answering from memory, the AI will answer everything that is using verified sources. So there is a difference between AI saying that I think is correct versus this is from official Microsoft documentation. So for example, let's say whenever you're typing something, maybe you're writing a quiz, student, he browses ChatGPT, says, hey, I need a correct answer for this, and can you please reliably check whether if the Google is telling correct or not, can you just give me a couple of links? And that person just checks whether is it the GPT giving the answer or it has some additional references. So the same way here, AI saying an official Microsoft document. So this is a reliability that is essential where AI is used in real development work flows. So that's all important why MCP learn server matters. Next to the slide, we have why is the use to learn the MCP server? What is the use to learn the MCP server? So again, the Microsoft Learn MCP server is a remote MCP server which is maintained, or it's maintained by the MSFT. That's a Microsoft. It allows AI agents like GitHub, maybe Copilot, to directly access trusted or might be up to date, accurate information from the Microsoft Learn documentation, because it uses lightweight HTTP, streamable information. It integrates easily, and it makes sure that it has something that the meaning developers do not need to browse tabs or they need to copy paste something. The documentations basically AI fetches those all things automatically. So that is what it does. uh, and maybe we can see that you have more about the slide. We have something focus, always fresh, accurate answers, composable workflow. So that is all the things. Okay, let me break down about a couple of things that are given so that we can understand morely. So focus. So what does it do? It focus means it keeps you in a flow. You can stay in your IDE, and you can still get the answers and whenever you need something from official docs without jumping to a browser. So that is called focus. What about the always fresh? The information, it directly comes from the Microsoft Learn at a query time, so you don't need to do something. So it is always current. As soon as documents are updated in the background on the Microsoft Learn, your agent answers the reflect change, and you don't need to wait for an AI to model to maybe catch up, something like that. So what the next is it accurate answers. Accurate answers is something very important because these responses may be directly coming from the official documentation of the MSFT, and those also have citations, and it also focused into, yeah, so that is something important. So you get a precise answers tailored to your questions, and then you can trust and verify that this particular something is true and that is source. The fourth point is something called, they've given us composable workflow. What is composable workflow? uh, so I want to tell you that whenever you're combining a Learn MCP server with our other MCP servers, maybe other MCP servers, let's say it might be an Azure MCP server. So to cover different needs, basically what does it do? It creates something seamless tool chains. Maybe our AI agent, it can orchestrate something multiple services together. Then you get something called maybe a full-fledged or that we can also say as an end-to-end solutions, from might be design to development, end of the day in the same conversation. So this is what all, why do we need to use learn MCP server. I think I have did something more elaborated on focus, always fresh, accurate answers, and composable workflow. Next, we have something called who can benefit from learn MCP. All right, this is something great. So there are a lot of images given here, very realistic, and well, I want to tell you that uh, anyone, it might be anyone who wanted to, uh, you know, anyone. Anyone sense that MCP servers will help anyone whoever is working with Microsoft technologies. For in our case, majority for developers, what does it do? It provides in IDE answers and code samples straight from the documents. So it will help us to improve productivity, whether it might be for students or learners. What it can do, it can give a proper explanation, or it can guide. You can get an official information, which is very useful for them, because they're going to study. It's upskilling and all of that. Maybe for support engineers or IT professionals, they wanted to maybe look up accurate information, maybe documented solutions for the customer's issues. They don't need to search something manually. So end of the day, might be contributors or content creators, everyone is getting benefited because it gives us easy information, examples, and all of that against the source material that is easy. So let's talk about the how does learn MCP work. So yeah, we have a Microsoft product knowledge. We have a diagram components here. It's maintained by the Microsoft Learn. So I will talk about each diagram. Let me do that now. So we have the MCP host. Okay, the MCP client will make calls against the learn MCP server. So again, what does learn MCP server makes? Here in this case, the learn MCP server exposes tooling. Maybe that might be a client who wants to make, or maybe retrieve maybe a content. And this learn MCP, it will dock such tools. It connects maybe a search against content embeddings, where up to it can do a 10 results in the form of content snippets, and it will return to the agent. And also it can fetch maybe tool retrievers, the full where the full learn page when provided with the learn URL by the client. Again, the learn code sample search, where it can also retrieve relevant code information, maybe learn code samples to assess the agents with accurate code development. So now let us look how does this it works. Basically, simple. It agent will ask the server whenever you pose a question. Your AI agent, that's our AI agent. For AI agent, let's take an example. VS Code might be VS Code. It will determine how should we use the MCP server. That is the learn MCP server. It sends a request to the server via MCP host infrastructure. Let's assume as a MCP host infrastructure with our query. So the server will search the documents. Then after searching, the learn MCP server will get, it will receive our query. After receiving it our query, again it will do the documentation search, so that the tool, it will help us to semantically search the Microsoft Learn content. So under these things, under hood, searching of an index of documentation for relevant passages, it might return up to a 10 snippet results. Maybe it will do and give us a 10 snippet results, and maybe to the max, and then might be the most relevant to us. So each of the result, it will give us maybe a short a link to the documentation source. uh, might be, you can go through it, and then you can fetch it and you can do it. So all of this, I think it will it is going to happen pretty quickly, thanks to lightweight the nature of the calls. So next is the slide that we are, where can you use learn MCP. Again, so we can use learn MP servers in many environments. One of the most common environments that we all use is inside our IDE. Again, for example, earlier said as a Visual Studio Code with GitHub Copilot, maybe in an agent chart mode, Agent can call the learn MCP server to answer questions as you code. In fact, any development tool, remember that any development tool that supports MCP can integrate it. So it could work with other coding assistants or IDEs. Maybe there may be support and experience like Copilot Studio. It might be custom developers tools or whatever it is. So maybe you can also assume it in your outside your IDE. It can leverage. Remember, it can leverage many chatbots, GPTs, or Perplexity, or Claude. These are all the agents. These are all the assistants. By connecting those two agents to the MCP. So end of the day, every custom application, or bot you create, you can use the learn MCP server. So essentially, remember that an artificial intelligence assistant, it will support the MCP protocol and it can leverage it. So that is what it does. And the next thing we have is AI assisted coding in your IDE. What does it do? AI assisted code in IDE. Inside the IDE, there is a learn MCP, which will significantly reduces context switching. Let me tell you a general example. Maybe developers can ask questions, they will get commands, and they will apply best practices without opening multiple browser tabs. So whatever it happens inside VS Codes, keeping the deployment or development flow uninterrupted. So this is what it does. So we don't need to maybe give a lot of explanation to this. So it is very as simple as it is making our task simple, and it is more AI works. Then next we have real world scenario, secure uh, app development, containerized app development, container development, what we're trying to do. So this slide, we are going to talk about a real world deployment scenario. So a developer, he basically wants to deploy a containerized application to Azure. So Copilot queries the Learn MCP server. What does it do? This it drives validated development patterns, and it will create a secure configuration files automatically. Let me talk more about this. So I wanted to tell a specific example. Let's talk more about it. So what it does says, the slide says that a developer enters a prompt. Maybe how does he enter? How do I securely? You can see the prompt, right? How do I securely deploy a containerized app to Azure using Bicep and GitHub Actions? And he also tells that validate the deployment pattern and provide ICAP examples. So this is a multi-fact questions about maybe about infrastructure as code, DevOps practices. So what happens here is the agent, I'll tell you the process. It's a very simple process. So the agent, it first breaks down the query, and then it determines that it involves Azure containers. Bicep, maybe someone is telling what is Bicep. It is an Azure Resource Template language. And GitHub Actions CI/CD. Okay, it needs accurate info on these topics. And if you have an accurate info, the documentation becomes easy. So then it uses the documentation tools. It might be Microsoft Doc Search or whatever it is. It will find a useful information or a relevant information on the Microsoft Learn. And then what does it do? Then it will run some search queries, maybe two search queries together with the best guidance information on the Azure container. Then it deploys, and then it checks the security patterns. Those search results. So again, those search results refers to from the official documentation about the Bicep development and security, GitHub action flows, and then it feed into Copilot answer. Next, what we are trying to do in the step two, what we will do is we have to create a file. That might be the next step. Yeah. So we will create a file. So what we do is, like, after retrieving the guidance, the AI agent moves on to implementation. So what we do is, like, the GitHub Copilot, it will start recreating the necessary files, and that typical configuration for the deployment. From these results, the Microsoft documentation, it will generate things like infrastructure as code templates. Again, don't worry what is infrastructure as code templates. This is a Bicep files and workflow files from the GitHub Actions. So in the step 2, we are trying to see that whenever we see the agent, it will auto generate code files. Remember, it will auto generate the code files and align with searched guidance. With searched guidance, it will also ensure, as for me as a developer, it will help me, writing them manually from the scratch. Then what we do is we will have to summarize it. Let me go to the next slide. So yeah, we will summarize it here. So what once the agent has assembled the solution, it provides us a quick summary of what we did. So what we did. Then the GitHub comes to the picture. The Copilot, it will explain the entire deployment setup. It has created, how it has processed, and all of that. And also remember, the AI will not only builds the solutions, but it also narrates back the key points. So whatever all the process that we have did. So what does here it do? It helps the developer to understand the outcome and reasoning. So that is very important, right? So entirely the summary will ensures and it will confirms that how is the pattern was implemented, and it will helps the user to verify every step that he has followed. Next, we can ask the agent, how it is use the learn MCP server. Just a second. Yeah, so we can see here the image. It is asking the agent so how to describe how it is used to things. Maybe for us in our scenario, after the solution is built, we can ask something called, how do you ask, maybe you can tell, how did you use the learn MC server to do that. You can tell that how did we do that, how that it done, what's the process, what is the step by step procedure. Then the agent will clearly tell us the layout what we did. It will describe something like, maybe we have researched a specific documents from the learn and we have referred to it. And then it will also describe about how the documentation has influenced the implementation architecture. It might be there are a lot of patterns that we followed, and how the GitHub has integrated it. Then also it will tell you that how does the MCP server played a picture, and what type of specific URLs we have retrieved. So these kind of things, it was going to give you a proper information. So basically by doing all of this, by asking the agent how it is used its resources and what kind of transparency is happening in the agent process, you can just basically double check the work. So you will learn a little more about how an agent works. So that is what how we are trying to do. Next, we're going to see something to today. Is something we're going to deep dive into a Learn MCP server with Microsoft Learn. So till now we have covered all of these things. So I want you to now cover an overview and a sample scenario. I wanted to bit dive more. So let's now see a demo of the Learn MCP server in action. So to make it more easy, we have an amazing deep dive tutorial which is provided by MSFT. Now I'm going to play that, and it's going to be amazing. Just give me a second so we can play that. Uh, I think we can play here. Sudhanshu, I want to play a video. Okay.
Sure, so no worries. You can share it.
Okay. Just a second. So, folks, rather me giving you much information about how we're trying to do a demo, we have an amazing speaker who is going to talk about how we're trying to do today. Uh, he's going to give you an amazing information, and this is something I have been trying to share you. Yeah, so I'm going to uh, tell you a demo. Till now, I've been trying to tell you every slide in depth. I've been breaking down into a general explanation. So now let's see how it works. So we have a small demo, so you can just enjoy the demo.
Hello, I'm Eric Masugi, product manager here at Microsoft Learn. Microsoft Learn's MCP server, or Model Context Protocol server, gives your AI agent a direct line to official Microsoft documentation, whether you're coding in Visual Studio Code, prompting GitHub Copilot, or building a custom AI assistant. In this demo, we'll show you how the Microsoft Learn MCP server helps developers streamline their workflow by bringing accurate documentation directly into VS Code. Getting started is simple. Just open the Microsoft Learn MCP server GitHub page, click one-click installation, and it's ready to use. Once installed, select Agent Mode in VS Code, and now we're ready to try out a few developer scenarios. Suppose my manager assigns me a task to design a system that requires a messaging or event service. I know Azure has several options, but I'm not sure on which one to choose. So I open GitHub Copilot chat and ask, in Azure, which option should I choose between Service Bus, Event Hubs, and Event Grid? Please provide a detailed, in-depth comparison of these services. Behind the scenes, the LLM calls both Microsoft Docs Search and Docs Fetch tooling multiple times to gather relevant information. Finally, I can see a comprehensive comparison appear on the chat screen, including key characteristics of each service, core features, limitations, and a clear detailed comparison matrix. This way, developers get a complete structured answer immediately, saving time and reducing guesswork. So here's another real-world scenario. GPT-5 has just been released, and I want to know if I can access it through Azure OpenAI. Here, if we don't use LearnMCP, the answer is incomplete and outdated. But once LearnMCP is enabled, the agent fetches authoritative, up-to-date information. We see here that the accurate answer is, in fact, that GPT-5 series is available in Azure OpenAI as of August 2025. Finally, I want to use the Azure AI Foundry Evaluation SDK to run a harms evaluation. I've already prepared a mock dataset and set up the Azure AI Foundry endpoint in my .env file using Azure default credential for authentication. I simply ask the agent, with the dataset in QA dataset JSON and Azure AI URL in .env file, use Azure AI Foundry Evaluation SDK to run a harms eval. As you can see here, without the Microsoft LearnMCP enabled, developers often struggle with package installation, imports, and correct API usage, encountering multiple errors before the code runs. The first issue we hit is a module not found error. Then, Copilot needs to verify the correct import structure. I kept pressing enter again and again, but it took too much time without making much progress, so I eventually had to force stop it. So, as you can see here, I ran into a few issues. I also went to Azure AI Foundry to see if my evaluation results returned, and as you can see, nothing shows up in the portal. But with the Microsoft Learn MCP enabled, the agent leverages the latest and most comprehensive official documentation. It first queries the relevant docs, understands the correct approach, and then proceeds with implementation. With access to accurate API names, code samples, and best practices, it produces working code with all packages, imports, and API calls correctly configured. Everything runs smoothly on the first attempt, just showing how the Learn MCP removes friction and accelerates development. So, as you can see here, the evaluation report is complete, and the results of my evaluation are available in the Azure AI Foundry portal. With Microsoft Learn MCP Server, you now have access to accurate documentation, tutorials, and working code, which inevitably saves developers time, reduces guesswork, and allows you to focus on building. Try Learn MCP Server today and supercharge your developer workflow.
So, folks, I think this is something uh, we've been uh, I've been trying to tell you from the last 1 hour session. So this is a small video, and I will again talk about this video. So in this video, we have done four things. So we have first learned how to install a Learn MCP server. Then we have a quick deep dive tutorial. Then we also look into a info lookup. Then we have been coding with MCP. So this is what we have done. And so I hope this has brought you a small quick understanding about the things that I've been trying to talk. And so we have it's a simple setup. We are similarly enabling an extension to unlock much more, maybe rely on the AI assistance. So that's what we have been done. Maybe you have all this process how to get started with Visual Studio Code. This is a process how you can do this. This is doesn't need an explanation. These are the sources where you can get help. Maybe the Learn MCP server. These are all the links that you can go. It's available on the GitHub and all of these things. Uh, and I think, thank you so much. This is what all I wanted to tell. So to conclude in a simple line, maybe to summarize all of you guys. So Microsoft Learn MCP server. End of the day, it will enable AI agents to deliver accurate information, trusted information, and most importantly, and up-to-date information on the Microsoft knowledge. So these are all grounding AI responses from the official documentation. So it reduces mistakes, errors, and it makes AI truly more useful for our real world development. And that's what all we're trying to do. It's in action today, so the Microsoft Learn is in action today, and I hope you had an amazing time and you had some quick insights about MCP versus MCP Learn server. So Sudhanshu, I think I'm done.
Okay, thanks a lot, sir, for this insightful session. And thank you, everyone, for joining. I hope we all had a wonderful and insightful session over the MCP and MCP Learn. So, thank you, sir, and thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.